Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by BetUS. With the game going the way it was down the stretch, I grabbed in anticipation because I had to hurry up here to where I'm doing the postgame from. I'm out at my in-laws' house at the east end of Long Island. I grabbed a one, please, in case they won. And thankful that they had, just in the event that they lost, some rubbing alcohol. And I let me be the first to tell you, I'm really happy that I don't have to unscrew this one. Getting too old for this shit. Getting too old for this shit. But as they say, a win is a win. All right? A win is a win. It's all positives. It's funny because we are actually almost 2 years to the day. Almost 2 years from the day, because it was December 3rd. And what is it today? November 29th. So yeah, 2 years and about 4 days. I guess a little bit less than 2 years. From a game that I will never forget. The game itself was forgettable, but in terms of a post game that I will never forget, which was the Knicks loss to Dallas, where they were up by 15 in the first half, and then they let go of the rope as if they forgot the rope was even there. And I came on here that day and, among other things, said that I figured Tom Thibodeau had probably outlived his usefulness here with the Knicks, and that this thing was broken. And the front office should all be, ashamed of themselves. And the thing was done. Put some dirt on it. And I remember that. I remember exactly how I was feeling that day. It was easily the most apoplectic I had felt. Not as a Knicks fan, but certainly as a Knicks fan in the Leon Rose era. And all they did after that game was win 8 games in a row, completely turn around not only their season, but really the course of this franchise. And it's really been, with a couple of hiccups here and there, they didn't exactly get off to the best of starts last season. It has really been mostly sunshine and rainbows since that day. And it's fitting that if they lost this game to the Hornets, and how many there are, I don't know, half a dozen plays that if they go the other direction, Cody Martin had a great look from the corner late. The kid, the rookie they have, the tall doofy rookie they have, pretty good look, almost inexcusably good on that play with the inbounds play with, I think it was 11 seconds left or 8 seconds left, whatever it was. And we'll go through some of the Knicks shots because, I'm going to be positive. I'm just putting it out front. I know there are probably a lot of people, even with the win, that are upset today, as they should be. If you're a Knicks fan and you're feeling hunky dory right now, then I would examine that a little bit. So I'm going to honor that, but I'm just saying, on the whole, I'm going to try to be positive, not only because they did make some big plays, and we're going to go through the big plays and who made those big plays, and more importantly, perhaps who did not make those big plays because they were not in the game late. We'll go through all of that. But and the other reason I'm going to be positive is because, and the way I phrased it to Andrew earlier today, we were going back and forth about how disastrous of a loss this would be. And I'm like, well, 5th game of an 11-day road trip, 12 o'clock start, day after Thanksgiving, veteran team versus a young, scrappy team with a bunch of guys who probably went out there today and, played this game like it was their NBA Finals. So, there are levels to Armageddon, and I was like, it would be like a 9.5 out of 10 instead of a 13 out of 10, and we agreed to split the difference, and that it would be like an 11 or 11.5 had they lost this game. So, but they won the game, and they won the game, and they dug down deep And even against that team, because look, every coach has said it. These are all NBA players. Tibbs has said it a lot of times. These are all NBA players. And there are some guys that is this an April tanking team that we saw today in Charlotte? No, it's a November, December tanking team. Meaning it's like a bunch of 7th, 8th, 9th men. And it's funny, the one exception to that, Brandon Miller had himself a terrible game. So it's not like you're playing a G League team out there. So I'm going to give him credit for the win, and I'm going to be mostly positive, but there are issues here. There are real issues. I think the biggest challenge right now for me is trying to, and you could probably have said, I could have said the same thing. I probably did say some version of this after a whole lot of games this season, and a lot of Knicks fans could, is trying to divorce the issues from, do they fall under the umbrella of endemic serious problems that potentially may not go away, or how many of those issues can we still put under the umbrella of the same thing that we've been saying for whatever it's been now, a month and a half or a month and 6 weeks, whatever how long the series has been. It's a new team, getting used to each other, getting accustomed, all that sort of stuff. And I think there's some stuff that falls into category A, and I think there's some stuff that falls into category B. Stuff like noon tip-off, 10. It's all I was tracking over the first quarter of this game is how here, 2 turnovers, 2 24-second violations right out the bat, then 2 more. 5 turnovers in 7 minutes, 6 and 8 minutes and 30 seconds, 7 turnovers in 10 minutes and 30 seconds, 8 turnovers over the first 10 minutes. I just kept adding on turnover. Here's the time. And they ended up with however many turnovers they ended up with. I think it was 21. That sort of thing, given circumstance and place and time and all that, which is really the biggest reason I think the Hornets were able to stay in this game. That and probably some tired legs and a lower 3-point percentage than you'd expect from a team with the Knicks level of skill, because again, 5th game of a 5-game road trip, they ended up shooting 37.5% from 3. So you can't even say that, but really the turnovers, you want to kind of write that off as a combination of the circumstance of this game. And then the team still first 20 games together. That's fine. Even some of the defense stuff that we saw throughout the game where the Hornets got, we're again, it's the theme of the season, right? On defense, you don't feel us. You don't feel the Knicks. But yet again, and this is the first time I'm going to try to be glass half full here. When push came to shove and it was go time, the defense, for the most part, wasn't perfect because it rarely is. For the most part, and again, take it with several grains of salt because of who the opponent was. For the most part, when push came to shove and you needed to dial up, you dialed it up. And you made plays on defense when you needed to make the plays on defense. So, even that, I'm gonna not brush off, but I'm gonna be like, okay, it's fine. I think about now, the one thing we can't just continue to bury under or dust under the rug is whatever. I don't know where the alien is, or the what was the Monstars, right? Yeah. I don't know which Monstar it was that on the day that he switched sides of the river took Mikal Bridges' powers and inserted them into, I don't know, I guess RJ Barrett is as good a candidate as any. What NBA player is going out there having by far a better season than he? You can't even say RJ, because RJ had a pretty good end of the season last year. So it's not even like RJ. Where's the NBA player who is like, wow, this guy's been in the league for a lot of years and never done anything like this? Whoever that player is walking around with Mikal Bridges' skill set, because he looks like, remember how Patrick Ewing, what did they have? They had Patrick Ewing in the hospital gown, right? In the ER, bringing him in. But Patrick Ewing forgot how to play basketball. What the hell happened? See if I can remember who all of them were. It was Ewing, Sean Bradley, right? There was a Sean Bradley thing there. Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, and Charles Barkley. Somebody help me out. Did I get those 5 right? All right. Mark is telling me I got those. That was off the dome. I promise. And that is not, I'm not like Andrew. That's not like one of my all-time favorite movies. It's probably been about, I don't know, 15, 20 years since I've seen it. Well, I don't know who it is, but they should be very thankful. And us Knicks fans, all we have to do is sit here and just kind of hope that, I guess this, Michael Jordan or LeBron James already made his sequel. Who's the next American superstar? Because, it's, Hollywood-funded movie probably has to be an American, although at this point I really wouldn't care. Who's the next NBA superstar that could star in a Space Jam movie and go get the powers back? Because that guy needs to get a hop to it. Anthony Edwards. I don't really care who it is. Someone's got to do it because that guy forgot how to play basketball. And I made the receipt analogy after the last game. And I think it's like, yeah, we talk about the 6 first-round picks all we want. You're not getting them back. What's done is done. And the one, and this is both the best thing I could say about the trade and also the most damning indictment of the trade, irrespective of how Mikal Bridges is playing, which is this. Usually when you give up 6 first-round picks, including all the unprotected picks and everything, future unprotected swap, for a player in the NBA, if that player has the level of drop-off that Mikal Bridges has had, you would be completely fucked as an organization because the only types of players you give up those trade packages for are the sorts of players where if they have a severe drop-off from their level of play or they get injured or just whatever the case may be, you're screwed because they're that important because those are the only players you give up those trade packages for. The Knicks' saving grace is that there's an argument that even if Mikal Bridges was playing like he normally plays, he would still be the 4th best player on the Knicks, given how obviously Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and given how OG Anunoby has played thus far. I know OG did not have his best day on offense today, but go look at Brandon Miller's stat line, and everybody should tip their freaking cap to OG Anunoby. That's the best thing you can say about OG, by the way, which is that even when his offensive game is not there, he does not let it impact his defensive performance. As I slide over here so the sun doesn't get completely in my face. So, yeah, that's the best thing you could say about the trade right now. And it's also the worst thing you could say about the trade. But, in the sense that, if, I'm going to end on a positive note, I promise. If this, just imagine a world where this is what Mikal Bridges was forever and ever, the opportunity cost of giving those picks away would be awful. That would be the thing that would lose sleep. But it's not like, the Knicks are definitely going to be picking in the lottery because they're still probably going to be a really good team. And oh, by the way, and now I'm really going to go back towards the positive. The reason you can be sure they're still going to be a pretty good team is because they have a guy like Deuce McBride who could step in and fill in for Mikal Bridges like you did, like, hey, man, what that guy's out there doing, what Deuce McBride's out there doing, and I know he made a bad decision on the corner 3 that actually went in. Benji pointed it out on Twitter. You don't leave the strong side corner like that. That was a bad error by Deuce. But yeah, he'll make an occasional mistake. And obviously the reason why you trade for a Bridges, even though you have a McBride, is because Deuce is just always going to be limited against certain matchups because of his size. He's just whatever, he is what he is. He's 6'1", 6'2" guard, whatever. But other than that, you could throw Deuce McBride in and feel like you're not really missing a beat. And thank God they had him because they don't win this game today without Deuce McBride. I mean, I don't know which play that I want to point to was the biggest play down the stretch. If we want to cue up the autograph logo, shout out to Autograph. And thanks to everybody who joined me on the Autograph app, which you just go download at your app store, use code KFS, and get rewarded for your fandom. Thanks to everybody who joined me pregame and during halftime for the chat in the New York Knicks chat app. I think I'm going to give the play of the game. It probably has to be the Deuce steal and the dunk because that was the first time. I'm pretty sure that was the first time all game where they had a lead of at least 3 points. And so you felt like you had a little bit of breathing room there. And more than that, it was just symbolic of what has been missing so often from the defense this year. and how when they get that, when they find that part, which I thought they found, I really did think they found it relatively a lot, relative to how much they usually find it in the second half of this game. And it was because they found that gear, and especially found that gear down the stretch. That's why they won, in addition to some other big shots. But yeah, so that's going to be my autograph signature moment of the game. Again, shout out Autograph. Go download the app. Use code KFS. Appreciate you guys. At the end of the day, though, and again, told you I was going to be mostly positive here. Whatever is going on with the Knicks collectively as a group right now, and I'm gonna put the Bridges stuff to the side for a minute because, one, I don't know what else to say about it, and two, I maintain, and I thought Jared Dubin sent out a good what are we calling him again? Skeet. How could I forget? A good skeet earlier, where he's like, we have roughly 6 years of evidence that Mikal Bridges is a really, really good NBA player, and we now have, 19 games of evidence that he's not. I'm going to go with the bigger sample size. I think he's going to figure it out. The question of, like, how low does it go? How bad does he get? Do his depths of play start to infect, like, do they take its toll in other ways other than, like, this is a guy who just got benched down the stretch of the game? We don't know the answers to those questions. Do I think somehow, some way, he's still going to come out of it? Yeah. Is it harder and harder to sit here and say that with confidence after each performance that looks like the performance that we just saw? Abso-freaking-lutely. You could argue that his two worst performances of the season were these two last games against the Mavs and the Hornets. But so I'm putting the Bridges stuff aside because I don't know what else to say about it. I'm sure we're going to talk about it a lot in the Super Chats. But on the positive note, I think there's still a lot of there's a ton of good stuff going on here. And that starts with Jalen Brunson. And the difference between the Knicks and so many other NBA teams is they have Jalen Brunson on their roster, and those teams do not. And Jalen Brunson, of course, leads them down the stretch, making big shot after big shot. His midi that gave them the lead was massive, 86-85. He had a finish that extended the run to a 14-3-1. That was huge. He had another floater that made it 92-88 after I'm pretty sure the Hornets had scored. That was massive. And then, of course, he draws the foul that I have to think he knew he was going to draw with an over-aggressive young defender that got him 3 free throws. Missed one of those, missed 2 free throws overall in the fourth quarter, but he nailed the 2 that really counted. So, Jalen Brunson, tip of the cap to you. And if it wasn't for all those big buckets and makes by Brunson down the stretch, the first guy that I'd be talking about in this postgame was Josh Hart, in a positive way. First guy I'd be talking about in this postgame would be Josh Hart, because, again, when the Knicks are dead and they need a spark, they need some energy, they need someone to pull them by the scruff of their neck and say, get your heads out of your asses, guys. So often it's Josh Hart. And I know Josh Hart wasn't perfect in this game because Josh Hart is never perfect in any game. But this was a Josh Hart game through and through. And it is fitting that in a game that the Knicks, it kind of felt like they had to have, your two leaders were the two guys that stepped up and came up the biggest, in Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. And the fact that those two guys are there, and I think, again, another not great Towns game, and this was probably the worst Towns game in terms of the silly foul, right? In terms of the, he maybe got his head a little bit with those offensive fouls. So, like, but again, those have not come at the sort of frequency that I maybe half expected. They've been infrequent, and overall, he's been really, really good. So I'm not going to kill Towns today. And by the way, you could argue that the biggest shot of this game wasn't the Deuce steal and dunk. It wasn't the Brunson midi to give them the lead. It wasn't any of the other Brunson shots. It wasn't, but that the biggest shot of the game was Cat from the corner after the Miller 3 put the Hornets back up by 4 after the Knicks had cut it to 1. That was a massive shot by Brandon Miller, and Towns calmly sunk that 3 from the corner. Absolutely a massive shot by Towns. And then, by the way, a few minutes later, makes the pass of the game to Josh Hart, cutting Josh Hart under the basket to finish. So again, was it a great game from Towns? No. Did he come up with some big plays and some big defensive plays, by the way, late? Absolutely. So you're feeling great about Brunson. You're feeling great about Hart. You're feeling really good about Towns. OG Anunoby, we talked to him. Again, the maybe a little bit of a shooting regression here, but you love what OG has brought you. And then you bench. Your bench. You love Deuce. Campaign, another shot of the game contender. That deep three to make it 82-81. I mean, and that was and the vibes at that moment, when Payne hit that deep three were like, ooh, not good. And that guy has ice water in his veins, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. He bricked the next shot. But, like, that three there was so big. So you're feeling good about that. You're feeling good about the progress Sims has made. And then you got guys coming back from injury. So for as much as we can all sit here and be frustrated about 11 and 8 and these endemic issues and, like, they really got to figure it out, I wonder how much of it really just comes down to Bridges and how, for some reason, this starting five is just, it's not coming together. And I think your question now has to be how much of that in particular is Bridges, and how much, because they sure do seem to play pretty well when he is not in there. And I'm going to pull up the lineup stats in a minute. So I don't know. We'll see, but we'll talk about all that. I have said, I think, everything I need to say. I don't know if I've missed anything big. If I have, I'm sure it'll come up. I'm sure somebody will remind me. So we got Mark on the ones and twos today. Mark, why don't we get started with the super chats as I put the rubbing alcohol aside? Okay. So, Mark, I'm going to just tell them what you wrote in the chat. The first, at least 15 super chats are from before the game ended. Spoiler, people aren't happy with Mikal Bridges. Oh, my God. No shit. Listen, I came to the man's defense already. You let it all hang out. I'm not gonna begrudge anyone for that. I promise. Even Russ Guberman, if he chimes in. Knicks enjoyer. I want to say some things right now, but I will assume there is a significant level of fatigue and that we will turn things around at the half. No, it was the worst quarter of the season because of the Dallas game. Because they just came off of that game against Dallas and they said the things that they said in the locker room. Although Tibbs did say, and Benji alerted me to this, Tibbs did say after the game, it's been a long road trip, earlier start time. So I don't know that they're sounding alarm bells internally, but maybe that's even more distressing. The fact that they are not sounding at least some modicum of alarm bells. I'm sure they sounded some alarm bells at halftime, because I did think they came out with a different level of intensity and focus after halftime. I mean, I think I'll look it up right now, but I think they ended up in the game with 21 total turnovers. At halftime of this game, they had 13. So they had 8 second half turnovers. I mean, that's not great, but I still think they cleaned it up a little bit at the half. Okay. Thanks, Knicks enjoyer. Appreciate you. Alex, Jonathan Cedric Macri. Can't say my own name after that one. The Knicks will not have a top 15 defense by the end of the season. Willing to take that bet for a beer. The funny thing is their defensive rating almost certainly went up today. Would I bet a beer on that? Let's see. They've played 19 games, so they have 3/4 of the season left. They are probably going to, let's say they're 23rd in defense. In order to get to top 15 by the end of the year, I would assume that they would need to be a top 12 defense from here on out. Do I believe they're going to be a top 12 defense from here on out? Oh, it's right there. It's right on the borderline. Because I think they could be a top 15 defense for the rest of the year. But then again, a lot of that hinges on Bridges. Shouldn't, but it does. I'll say I'm not going to take the bet, Alex. I'm not going to take the bet. It's tempting. I'm on the fence. I think it's a good question. I'm not going to take the bet though. Sorry. Thank you. By the way, it doesn't. I'm not going to say I don't care about that, but I will. And thank you for the donation. Boom goes. I will say the same thing I've been saying all year. If their defense is playing well heading into the playoffs, I don't care if it's for 5 games. If the defense is playing well heading into the playoffs, that's all I want. That's all I need. Brando, what's going on, Brando? Turnover by the Bridges at the end of the half is inexcusable. I thought that turnover was bad. Arguably the worst turnover of the season. And DJ tweeted something to this effect recently. There's nothing that gets under Tom Thibodeau's skin more than turnovers. Nothing. Missed box outs, I don't think get under his skin as much. I'm trying to think what else would even come close. Maybe not boxing out on a free throw miss, something like that. But turnovers is number one. And then he had another inexcusable one. I think he had 4 turnovers for the game, if I recall correctly. And speaking of both Devils here, Tibbs just had a quote about Bridges. Bridges today, 3 turnovers. 6 for Towns, but a lot of those were the offensive fouls. The turnover he had in the third quarter where he was trying to hit Hart in the corner and Hart wasn't there. But again, that all to me speaks to everything. The shot, the point of attack defense, everything is above the neck. And I can't sit here for sure and be like whether that makes me feel better or worse. I think it makes me feel better. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to convince myself it makes me feel better. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you, Brando. Hush Zoo, 25 is hilariously bad. This is embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah, hilariously bad and embarrassing are 2 very apt terms for how Mikal Bridges is playing right now. I'm not going to sit here and I'll sit here and I'll try to concoct arguments for why he's going to be fine long term and why the Knicks aren't going to rue the day they made that trade. I'll sit here and I'll give you those arguments. I'm not going to sit here and defend how the man's played. Absolutely not. Thanks, Hush. Jessica Elsner, end of the third. Mikal Bridges. Oof. Zany. Yeah, what did he go in this game? Didn't have 2 steals in this game, interestingly enough. 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from deep, and the one was an above the break 3. But now, again, is it good or is it bad that now he's missing from the corners? I mean, it's obviously bad, but that he made an above the break. You almost wish, honestly, he's stayed consistent from the corners, because at least that you had in your back pocket. And not only is he missing from the corners, now the mid-range stuff is starting to go away. He got bailed out, and he ended up missing one of the free throws anyway. He missed a shot at the rim from 3 feet away, 4 feet, and they called a foul. I didn't see a foul. Not great. Thank you, Jessica. Deadwards 604. What's going on, Deadwards? 5 first-round picks for this. Again, it's 6 if you count the swap. I've seen better functioning Bridges in Baltimore. That's good. That was good, Deadwards. That was very good. Yeah, my God. I'm trying to think of the worst. God, it's been a while. One of either the Outer Bridge crossing or the Goethals Bridge, and I'm pretty sure they've redone both of them over the last 15 years or 20 years. When I was a kid, at least one of those bridges was pretty freaking bad. So that's probably the best comp. Thank you, Deadwards. TJ Akai, what's going on, TJ? For those who think the starters will play less when Precious returns, are we sure he doesn't just get Sims minutes and the wings all still play 40 minutes? That's a good and fair question. I mean, again, the guys played a lot of minutes today. OG, I'm sure, played 40. OG played 40. Hart played 41. Brunson 37. Towns 39. Bridges 37. Um, I think it'll make a difference because I think Precious. I'm not going to sit here and call him a wing because he's not. He's big. He's I think he's switchable. I think they trust his switchability. I guess the biggest question is how much they're gonna is the corner three like a real thing now? I don't know. It probably doesn't make that big of a difference. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it. I think he's gonna dabble in some Precious and Sims minutes together. As I say that, here's the problem. The vision, I think, originally was Mikal plus the bench. Well, unless you think that just like force feeding Mikal as the top offensive option along with Deuce in the bench minutes is going to actually set him free and have him playing well, which I guess crazier things have happened. You can't really do that anymore, and if you want to have Towns or Brunson on the court at all times, well, then I don't think you could play Towns and Sims and Precious. So are you going to trust those backup units with Anunoby as the starter? Sims, Precious, Anunoby, Payne, Deuce? I don't know. That doesn't feel. I mean, defensively, I love it, and maybe he goes with it. I don't know. And again, what are we talking about here? We're talking about 3, 4, 5 minutes a game. So I'm not sure. Thanks, TJ Akai. It's a fair question, and I'm not sure the answer right now. Very good question, though. Matt G. The Hornets offense should not have the Knicks defense in rotation this much. The Bridges crossed by Micic second quarter. Yep. How much more patience can we have with him? I mean, or what? Right? I mean, I don't mean to be facetious. Or what? We give him back and get the picks back. You're in for a penny or for a pound. I mean, Robert Cross a couple games ago asked the question when do you bench Mikal Bridges for Deuce McBride? And I called Robert all kinds of evil names and told him you leave Bridges in the starting lineup until the start of next season. That was before the last 2 games. And I thought he was starting to figure it out. I think you stick with it, and if anything, it becomes an RJ situation where you start with the guy, but you don't close halves or games with the guy, which would be its own kind of indictment and arguably a worse indictment on the trade. I don't know. So it's again, I don't really know how to answer that question because and I agree with you. I completely agree with you. And again, putting the Knicks in rotation, that's not just on Bridges. The Knicks were not, collectively, it's not like the other 4 guys are defending to the 90th percentile or higher of their defensive capacity, and only Bridges is the one shitting the bed. His is just the most obvious right now. But all of these guys can play better defense, including OG. Well, no, maybe not OG Anunoby. Everybody else can play better defense. Thanks, Matt. Jessica, 2:03 left in the fourth. In the fourth left, Mikal benches. That's an interesting nickname. Yeah, man. Jess, it's we were asking openly in the chat, in my text thread, and I was like, I think he leaves Bridges on the bench, and he did. Listen, man, Tom Thibodeau. Say whatever you want about Tom Thibodeau. The only thing he gives a fuck about is winning games. Winning games today, winning games tomorrow, winning games long term, and that's why are there decisions he makes to some extent with some semblance of long term in mind? Yeah, and I think that has led to some of the decisions he's made over the years. But at the end of the day, just get the win. And he did what he needed to do to get the win today. Thank you, Jessica. Robert W. Cross, first time, long time, it's your boy John. Speaking of the devil. Deuce needs to start over Bridges. I've seen enough of the starting five. Game 20 is on Sunday. It's time for a change. All right, I'm going to honor Robert here. So today in Charlotte, the starting lineup played 21 minutes and 25 seconds, which is a lot of minutes for starting lineup. It's a lot of minutes for it's a ton of minutes for a starting lineup, especially considering they didn't close the game with that starting lineup. And they didn't play the last 5 minutes of the game. Otherwise, it would have been 25, 26 minutes, which is really a ton. That starting lineup today, minus 9.7 net rating, minus 3 overall, 77.5 offensive rating, 87.2 defensive rating. The Knicks with Deuce McBride in place of Mikal Bridges played today 6 minutes and 45 seconds. That lineup had a plus 50 net rating with a 150 offensive rating and a 100 defensive rating. Now, the sample sizes, 21 and a half minutes for the Bridges one, 6 minutes and 45 seconds for the Charlotte one. Again, those stats courtesy of pivotfade.com. Shout out to them. Robert, no one is going to sit here and dispute, as I have to continue moving over here as the sun continues my enemy. No one is disputing here that the starting five wouldn't be better right now with Deuce McBride in place of Mikal Bridges. That's not remotely a question. Not remotely a question. It is, what would that do to you organizationally? And I don't know the answer to that question. I know, generally speaking, I always err on the side of, if you can either make a seismic change or you can not make a seismic change, don't make the seismic change. Here's the problem, Robert. I'll tell you what the problem is right now. The problem is Mikal Bridges is not playing well with anyone. And I've looked at the numbers, and I think, funny enough, if you want to say this, I'll give you this. It seems like when he's on the floor, because the numbers, at least before today, when it's OG, Bridges, Deuce, Brunson, Towns, the numbers were they were at least positive. I think they were pretty good. When it was Bridges, when it was OG, Hart, Deuce, the lineup I just gave you, those numbers are off the charts. It's only when it's Hart and Bridges together, which is the funniest freaking thing in the world, because those are two of the 3 and over guys. So if your logic is you want to break up those two guys, there are here's what I'll say. Here, I'll give you this. You want something? You want a bone? I'll throw you a bone. Right now, he's leaving. Well, would this make a difference? Here's what I was going to say. Right now, he's leaving Bridges in for a very long time. He's the last starter to check out, right? Bridges is. Much, by the way, like RJ Barrett used to do, right? He was the last starter to check out, and then sometimes he just wouldn't come back in. If you flip that and you have him be the first starter to check out and bring in Deuce for Bridges instead of Deuce for Hart, do you get more time? I guess you could, but all of a sudden now you are relegating. You're probably relegating Mikal Bridges to being like a 24, 25, 26 minute a game player, maybe a little bit higher than that, which, like, at the way he's playing, no one's going to complain about that. Again, no one's arguing with what would make it better right now. No one's arguing about what would make it better right now. The question is, with the long-term vision and with the long-term organizational stability and, like, if this guy is struggling because of above the neck stuff, do you really think that like further shaking his confidence is gonna help? I don't know the answers to these questions, Robert. I think to just go with the thing that we could all sit here and be sure, like, yeah, that would make things probably better right now. And even then, you still got to play Bridges 25, 30 minutes somehow, some way. So I don't know. I think it's really tough. Tibbs' quote on Bridges, by the way. Mikal's going to be fine. Mikal has a body of work. I mean, question by Steph Bondy. And then Tibbs goes on to say, if it were a rookie, I'd be worried because you don't know. But I got to say I agree with him. And because I agree with Tibbs, there's a shocker for you. I'm not making a change right now. I'm just not. Thanks, Robert. Juanon. Said it last year, and unfortunately, here we are. I would not want to be in a foxhole with some of you panicky mother effers. Your Substacks in shambles, John. We're going to be fine. Hashtag fire Tibbs. Hashtag 1,000 foot view. I appreciate you, Juanon, more than you could possibly realize, number one. And number two, if you are in the Substack and you are going crazy, calm down. Come on, guys. Calm down. But people are gonna fan how they fan. Thanks, Juanon. Appreciate you as always, by the way, even if I don't tell you as much as I should. I-95 bully. An ugly win is the equivalent of a moral victory. Any silver lining with Bridges? Love the 2 threes from Payne. Did he have two? I just remember the big one late, but I'm sure he had another one that I'm forgetting. I mean, Payne's been great. Yeah, I think we've tried to talk about silver linings with Bridges just being like, it can't be this, right? So it has to get better. It can't get worse. Got to get better. In terms of his play right now, is there a silver lining? Not really. It's just about reasons for hope. I don't think this is an equivalent of a moral victory. I don't think so. I think this is think about how you would feel if they lost this game. Think about how we'd all be feeling if they lost this game. Yeah. No. Thanks, I-95 bully. Jessica Elsner, 0.856 left in the fourth. Clutch Brunson free throws and McBride fire. Those guys were awesome today. I think the stars of the game are going to be Brunson, McBride, and Josh Hart in some order. I don't know what the order is going to be. Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate you as always. John Sands. What's going on, John? How are you, my friend? Hate to hop on the Bridges anti-bandwagon. It's okay, man. I also hate it. It does not make me feel good. It does not make me feel good, especially being in the position that I am, where I have taken pride over the years in being the one to calm the fears. But how do you... The only difference is, are you going to be, it's over, this guy sucks, or are you going to be, it's awful right now? Anyway. But wondering if you could think of a comp, someone who's gone through a stretch like this and put it back together. I am going to go a different way here. Guys go through slumps. Like, there have been a ton of players who have gone through 20-game slumps. It happens, you know? Of course, I'm not going to be able to think of one right now, but like Franz Wagner. Now, Franz Wagner's a young player, and it's not like he was exactly Steph Curry from three before last season, but Franz Wagner hit like 30% of his threes last year. He was the worst three-point shooter in basketball. You know, like, guys go through ups and downs. Now, three-point shots coming and going are way more normal than like what we're seeing from Bridges. But I think when you look at everything, the fact that he was traded for what he was traded for, the fact that the expectations were where they were, the fact that this is by far the most highly pressurized situation he's ever been in. No offense to Phoenix, but it's Phoenix. And then no offense to Brooklyn, but it's Brooklyn. I think when you factor all those things to look at it and be like, this guy is going through it mentally and probably is maybe in a little bit of a crisis of confidence right now, I think that is eminently reasonable. But where I'm going to flip it on you is how many players have you seen that have the body of work that Mikal Bridges does? And absent injury and absent, like, there was already a significant hole in their game, like, completely disintegrated as a player in the NBA. The NFL guys, like, start to wear out maybe before you expect it. Baseball guys, like, they just start to miss the zone, or whatever it is. I don't know. Pitchers miss the zone. Batters, they just stop being able to hit the curve. Basketball, man, guys who have reached the level that Mikal Bridges does, I'm sorry, they don't forget how to play basketball. They don't. I know he was never an all-star, but he reached a high enough level that, like, him just disintegrating into this, that's not, you want to give me like Andrew Wiggins a couple years ago, but Andrew Wiggins was going through some very, very, very serious and, like, traumatic off-court shit. We haven't heard about anything like that for Bridges. Bridges just seems to be like, hey, it's like he got traded and he's feeling the pressure. So at some point, I would think he's just going to be like, man, it can't get any worse. Let me just go out there and play. And he'll start to find it eventually. I hope. That's my hope, John. That's my hope. Thank you. Robert Cross. Is it fair and reasonable to say that the Knicks are a better team with Deuce on the floor? If so, he needs some more minutes. Let's figure it out. Of course, that's obvious. That's obvious. As my text thread is telling me that I missed a reference with the Baltimore Bridge comment. There was an actual bridge in Baltimore. I just thought he was kind of saying that, like, Baltimore was not the most structurally sound city, but I guess there's an actual bridge. I haven't read the news or listened to the news in 8 years, so I probably missed that one. Apologies. Anyway, I will look, Robert. Again, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to tell you that the Knicks should bench Bridges, and should they perhaps find a few more minutes for Deuce McBride? Yeah, that's fair. McBride. That said, McBride played 27 minutes. You're going to have trouble finding any sub that plays much more than 27 minutes in a game. That's what I always said with the Quickly stuff. People who got on Tibbs for when he played Quickly 20, 21, 22 minutes, that was fair. Tough to get on a coach for playing a sub 27 minutes. So in any case, I'll give you, though, this is from NBA.com before today, and these numbers are going to go up today. After today, these numbers are going to go up. Deuce McBride with Towns, Anunoby, Hart, Brunson, plus 23.9 points per 100 possessions in 43 minutes. That said, I'm going to give you two more numbers. You ready? Mikal Bridges with Anunoby, Brunson, McBride, and actually this is with Sims, because this has been usually with the backups. Plus 23.5. 110.9 offense, 87.4 defense. And then one more. Bridges with Hart, Payne, McBride, and Towns. Plus 22 points per 100 possessions. 131 offense, 109 defense. Now, those are all versions of bench lineups. Could you tell me? And I got one more for you: Brunson, Sims, Bridges, Anunoby, and Payne. Plus 15.8 per 100 possessions. 128 offense, 112 defense. So those are four of their 7 most heavily used lineups. And this is, again, before today's game, that have Bridges in them that are doing very well. Is that evidence that you should stick it out with Bridges, or is that evidence that you should switch up the starting lineup? I think, logically speaking, you would say it's evidence that you should switch up the starting lineup because the starting lineup's the one that's not working. If anything, I'm going to go slightly in a not a U-turn. I'm going to go in a diagonal direction here, Robert, and say maybe start to minimize the minutes that the starting lineup plays together, but don't disrupt it yet, because you're avoiding that giant red flare that goes off where it's like, whoa, the Knicks bench Mikal Bridges, and having to withstand that as in your culture. Thank you, Robert. Jack McMack, what's going on, Jack? A win is a win, but Mikal should be embarrassed. Embarrassed in all caps for anybody who might not be watching on the YouTube. The shot is its own issue, but show some damn effort, focus, and energy. Contribute something. Let's go Knicks. Let me take those one at a time. Effort, focus, and energy. I don't think he's going out there and not trying. This is silver lining stuff. Or not silver lining. This is just straight up apologist. I can't even defend this. I think he cares. I think he's going out there and he's trying. So great. We've reached the baseline for a third grader. Going out and trying. The manifestation of his struggles on his apparent lack of focus, to say nothing of the execution, is very distressing. And the fact that he has let it get to this point with some of those turnovers and with, I don't know that I would go so far as to, I'm not seeing non-competes on the defensive end. I'm seeing really poor execution. Now, 6 of one, half dozen the other, maybe. I mean, look, I'm sitting here trying to mix in words. That's where we're at. Where I can't sit here and offer a full-throated defense of what we're seeing. How am I going to do that? Seriously, how am I going to do that? All right, let's take a quick break from the Mikal Bridges bashing to hear from our good friends at BetUS. You know the deal. You know the deal, which, of course, I'm about to pull up the deal because I don't have the ad read fresh in front of me. But BetUS is your home for all things betting. And if you're looking for a new book this basketball season or just a better book, BetUS is the answer. The promo code, you know what it is by now because it's right up on the screen, YouTube 150, to receive that 150% bonus on your first deposit plus 125% bonus on your next two, up to $2,000. 24/7 personalized service, live wagering on all major games, 10% back on your net losses, personal account manager, all the things that you want and need for the fastest payouts in the industry. Again, it is BetUS. One more time, YouTube 150 is the code. 150% on your first deposit, 125 on your next two, up to 2,000. Remember that gambling involves risk. Only gamble with funds that you can afford to lose. All forms of betting carry financial risk. It's down to you, the individual, to make bets with or without the assistance of the information provided. Okay. Let's keep it going. Oliver. Not sure if it's Thanksgiving indigestion or that game. I mean, look, I'm going to, the test is always, how do you feel the next morning? For me, at least. And I'm going to wake up next morning. The first thought when I wake up is going to be, thank the good Lord the Knicks won that game. So I'm going to skew the positive. But if it's feeling like indigestion right now, man, I hear you, Will. I hear you. Brando, what's going on, Brando? No surprise that we go on a run to win the game with Bridges on the bench for the last 8 minutes. Frustration is already at Julius levels for me. Yeah, I went on quite the journey in the last post game trying to distinguish the Julius stuff from the Bridges stuff. In terms of like how frustrated people are at, I'm not sure that there's a discernible difference at this point. I think the type of frustration is different. I don't think it's personal yet. I don't think it's like you don't care, you're a bad person for not caring, which is where the Julius stuff went at times. I think it's just like, man, you stink. Which, again, 6 of one, half dozen the other. As far as the run goes, Mikal Bridges played 37 minutes in a game they won by 1 point. He was minus 14 in his 37 minutes. That means that they were a plus 15 in the 11 minutes that he didn't play. I'll say that again. The Knicks were a plus 15 in the 11 minutes that Mikal Bridges did not play, and it should have been a plus 18 because of that last three. What are we doing? What are we doing? Kento Cato, how you doing, Kento? A win is a win, but closing in on that 20-game mark needs to be pushed to 30 since no Precious. Maybe. Big game from JB, 6 rebounds. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Thank you, Kento. Let's read JB's whole stat line here. It's worth it. JB, 31 points on 18 shots, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers. That's your all NBA guy right there. And McBride, 14 points on 9 shots, 5 rebounds, not to be outdone. And Josh Hart, 13 points, 12 rebounds. Is that a game high rebounds? That's a game high, tied with Towns for game high for rebounds for Josh Hart. Both had 8 defensive, 4 offensive. I'm back. Sorry. Towns 6 turnovers, Hart 3 turnovers. Yeah. Anyway, good stats there. Huge minutes from Deuce and Cam. Yes. Brando, was good to see Mitch on the bench tonight. I will be honest with you. This is the first I've realized it, that he was on the bench. But yes, I agree. That's good to see. Listen, let's get Mitch back. I know I've been kind of not leading the trade Mitch bandwagon, more like preparing people for why I think they will trade Mitch. I hope they keep Mitch. I would love to see Mitch as part of this team. I think Mitch is going to be, if he stays, if they don't trade him, I think he's going to be an extremely important part of this team. If he could look something like the guy that we see when he's healthy and conditioned. How many minutes is he going to get? It's up for dispute, but he'll help them. He'll help them a lot if he's Mitch. Thanks, Brando. Dom Cappuccini. Oh, boy. Take a deep breath, Dom. This freaking team. I hope Mikal is seeing a sports psychologist. It's clearly above the neck at this point, and he really is starting to kill me. A win is a win. Let's enjoy this dub and not sleep on New Orleans, please. I don't think they're sleeping on anyone. I think tonight, the one thing we haven't talked about is how another switching defense out of the gate really gave them problems. Now, they ended up scoring 80. What was it? 83 points was the final score of the game. They ended up scoring 84 points in the final 3 quarters, which is like, that's fine. I mean, their offensive rating today, for anybody wondering, I'll pull it up right now. Their offensive rating today, 107.6, which is obviously dog shit. But like, considering how poorly they started, and again, I think that was the issue, and the turnovers. That's like, to me, that's not sleeping on a team. That's early, honestly, that's early start stuff for me. But anyway, yeah, go get a win in New Orleans, get to 12-8, and you could sit here and be like, man, we traded our entire war chest for a guy who has given us nothing or almost nothing, and we're 12-8. Could be worse. Thanks, Tom. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, man? We will take that. Yes, we will. Thankful for JB. 3 years in, he is still our stabilizer. He's going to be a stabilizer for as long as he's here, man. Deuce was awesome on both ends. OG shutdown defense. Cat not great, but a big 3 with 5 minutes left. I'm happy you pointed that out. Yes, I thought it was, again, arguably the biggest shot of the game. High degree of difficulty shot, I thought. Really, it was clock running down. The offensive possession had gone nowhere. I thought there was a decent contest. Big shot by Cat. One of his biggest shots of the season, for sure. Thank you, Kevin. Jessica Elsner with another one. Thank you, Jessica. And I almost forgot. Shout out to your mac and cheese from your Thanksgiving celebration. Feels like that was a bit closer than it should have been. You think? You think? Mikal is not the only reason for this messiness. I'm going to come back to that. I'm happy you said it. Gelling equals more defense equals more wins. Awesome energy from McBride, Payne, Sims, JB, Hart, and OG. Let's go Knicks. I'm so happy you said that, and it's a really responsible thing to say, even if it's not going to make you the most popular person in the room. It's never on one guy. When Julius was at his worst, it wasn't all Julius. When RJ was at his worst, it wasn't all on RJ. It's always the interplay of the 5 players on the court. And even though I could sit here and I could give you numbers for how this team is performing with Mikal Bridges on the floor, and I can give you numbers for how this team is performing without Mikal Bridges on the floor, in no way, shape, or form is this all on Mikal Bridges. It's just not. Blame the other players. Blame the coach. You know? Guy's had how many coaches over the course of his career? Bridges has. Comes here, and all of a sudden it's a problem. That Tibbs has to own that. Everybody has to own it. Everybody has to own it. But Mikal Bridges has to own it the most. Thanks, Jess. Nick Greenberg, what's going on, Nick? 20 games in, it feels like we need our D-Rose Hart midseason trade. Voids to fill, in my opinion, on defense. Intensity, with that leadership. Anyone come to mind? Marcus Smart? ? So here's my issue. Couple things. One, it doesn't matter who you have. Well, no, that may not be true either. I was going to say, if you have Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns sharing the floor for some significant period of time in the game, or even if it's not Jalen Brunson out there, if you have Karl Anthony Towns just playing the 5, you're going to, I'm not sure where, no trade is going to lessen, unless there's a massive, massive organizational decision to go away from Towns at the 5, which we've talked about a lot, and I'm not in favor of. There's no player you're going to trade for that's going to fix that automatically. That said, they were counting on Mikal Bridges to provide all defense level production to help insulate those 2 guys, or at least Towns. And he has been underwhelming on defense. Now, but again, to go back to the larger issue that we've been talking about on this postgame, you're not going to concede the Bridges trade after 20 games. You're going to keep running him out there for 30 minutes a night or more. So as long as he's playing, you need to figure him out, and he's going to play a prominent role defensively for as long as he's here, and he's going to be here for a while. So I don't know if there's a trade that they could make that's going to fix the defense. The trade that fixes the defense is to trade for the guy you already traded for to show up. As far as intensity and vet leadership, I don't know, man. I'm really comfortable with the vet leadership that they have between Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. If they don't have vet leadership, they lose this game. I think you saw the vet leadership that they have. And intensity, again, it's I know that some of these first quarters are getting off to bad starts and whatnot. I think that's a starting lineup thing. And I hate to do it. I have to bring it back to Bridges there. Because there's no one, even Hart in the starting lineup. It's not like I agree that they have an intensity problem from time to time. I don't know if a trade's going to fix it. All that said, do I think that there is a world where a trade could help this team significantly? I do. I don't know what it is. Would I love Marcus Smart on this team? Absolutely. I would love Marcus Smart on this team. But guess what? Marcus Smart wants to start and play a lot of minutes. Are there a lot of minutes to be had here? And I'm not sure that there are. I get your frustration, Nick, and I'm not sitting here being like, you're dead wrong. You're not dead wrong. But I don't know. No. Thanks, Nick. Nick's Enjoyer with another one. Thank you. Tibbs' hair looked great tonight. Did it? I didn't even notice. Deuce Payne giving us life off the bench. Again, we will take it. Yeah. That's where I'm at. Amen. Thank you, brother. as I see the light. I don't know if that means there's going to be a great super chat coming. Kevin O. Peterson. Pleased they got the win, but a lot of continuing alarming trends from this game. Well done sitting Bridges, who was embarrassing today in crunch time. Yeah. I didn't think he had a choice, to be honest. I didn't think he had a choice. Hold on. I know what I'm going to do. Going to do a little unplug. We're going to, wait, hold on. I'm here. There we go. A little topsy-turvy there. Now I'm just going to have to. And we're back. Okay. So, yeah, Tibbs, I don't look, there are always going to be people who are critical of Tibbs. I don't know. I killed Tibbs after which game? The Jazz game? For not bringing in Sims more for Towns. I don't know how much of this we can put on Tibbs. You know, I think this is a Bridges thing. This is a time thing. This is yeah, but I'm always going to be disinclined to see the faults of Tom Thibodeau. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not the best judge, but yeah, it was a good job by him sticking with Deuce today. Would have been if they brought in Bridges and they lost this game and Bridges wasn't good. Oh my God, this would be fire Tibbs as much as fire Tibbs as much as it is shoot Bridges into the sun. Thanks, Kevin. Chris Carter, what's going on, Chris? Not totally shocked this game was closer than it should have been because Game 5 of the road trip. I'm happy you mentioned it. I mentioned it at the top of the show. I think it's important context. Would it have been a get-out-of-jail-free card if they lost? Absolutely not. It is important context, though. But, and here's the but, I haven't seen winning basketing this bad since 21-22. Getting late early for Mikal Bridges. Even Benji was upset. I never see Benji upset. We're all upset. I'm upset. Benji's upset. If you're a Knicks fan, I said it at the top. If you're a Knicks fan and you're not at least worried, everybody processes bad basketball in a different way. Some people get worried. Some people get angry. That's whatever way you want to do it is up. I don't really care. But if you're not feeling some type of way, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what to do. Like it's really rough. And I think the what you gave up for him in a trade is a big part of it. But I think just as big a source of frustration is the fact that if he came in and was playing like you expected him to play, I'm not going to sit here and say that they would have X more number of wins because I can't. I don't know what the answer to that is, but we would all feel, oh my God, would we feel so much better about all this? Because whatever issues they would still be having with Towns defensively and figuring out how to, whether they could really survive long term with him at the 5 and like the biggest moments, the biggest games, all that shit. Those are first world problems. Those are the absolute first world problems that you could have in the NBA. Right now, we don't have first world problems. We're not even a contender right now. Contender, Jesus Christ. It was lost to the Hornets C team. Like they're really feeling it right now. So I think that's the biggest source of frustration with Bridges it seems like, it's not all on him, but it seems like he has taken, with his poor play, a situation that would otherwise be at worst highly tenable, and he is making it untenable at times, given the expectations and what they've invested in this team, and that's a problem. Thank you, Chris. Huzzoo, 2 benchings out of 20 games for 25, deserved. It's going to be a hell of a lot more than 2. That ratio, 1 out of 10. If he keeps playing like this, you better believe it's going to go up. It's going to go up to something more like 1 in 4, 1 in 5, 1 in 3, 1 in 2. I'm not kidding. I'll keep pushing back against Robert on the starting lineup change just because I always think that that's the last resort, and I don't think we're there yet. But as far as Tibbs leaving him on the bench if he's having crappy games, I think we're past that. We're past that. Today left no doubt. If there was doubt already. Thank you, Hush. Sam Garcia, ugly. Yeah. It's a long season. But yes. Yeah. Let's see if I remember the pronunciation. Mekhi. I remember the Mekhi part. I forget. Mekhi JD. I hope I got that right. I think I messed up the last name. I apologize. I'm just going to say Mekhi. What's up, Mekhi? Hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving. We did. I'll get back to that. Quick thought. The Knicks need to initiate offense faster. I'm getting back to that, too. By the time they get the mismatch, there's barely any shot clock left. That's why I think campaign is effective. Oh, boy, is that the comment of the day, Mekhi. Because you asked me about my Thanksgiving, which I agree, which thank you for asking. It was very good. I did the stuffing and some twice-baked potatoes with some cheddar cheese. And my brother-in-law, CJ, shout out to him. He did a beautiful fried turkey, which turned out perfectly, as well as some cornbread casserole. And he did one other side that I'm free. Oh, and they did some crumb cake, too. We also had some jarred cranberry sauce or canned cranberry sauce, which is my preferred cranberry sauce. So really, really good Thanksgiving. How do you not watch the first quarter for sure of that game and even into the second quarter and not think the answer is speed it up? Speed it up. If the teams are going to switch everything against you and you know your initial half-court initiation is not going to lead anywhere good other than to get the switch, and then you need to exploit the switch either through go on one-on-one or go on one-on-one until you send the help, and then after you send help, that shit takes time. And so it's two things to speed it up. It's I hate to criticize him today because they don't win the game without him, and that they're organizationally they're nowhere without him. He's their freaking MVP, and he's the most important person in the organization. But so a lot of this falls on Jalen Brunson. Every one of those possessions, it's 18 on the clock when you get across the half court line. If you know this is the defense that is going to be coming, you got to get the ball up the floor faster so you can get all of this going. And by the time you get in a situation where it's like, oh, okay, maybe we have something here now, it's not under 5 on the clock. Or alternatively, just once you cross half court, just bing, 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 go faster. And but again, the defense that's where you empower the defense, because at that point, the defense can like make your life harder. And you may not be able to go bing, 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 And I give the Hornets credit, man, today. Like Josh Green, the center, I keep wanting to say Diakite. It's not Diakite. It's Diabite. Diabate, whatever his name is. Brandon Miller. Like all these guys, they were getting into all of these Knick offensive players and like flying around and all that stuff. So, I think it's just as simple as getting the ball up the court faster. That's all it is. That's all it is. Great comment, Mekhi. Hushu, thank the Lord the cap saved. Thank the Lord for cap saved us from a war. I think there's an Avengers analogy somewhere in there. Either way, yes, thank God for cap. It would have been, oh my goodness, would it have been ugly? Woo. Chris, what's going on, Chris? How you doing, buddy? PTSD, John, but an early start road game. Win is a win, believe it or not. Yes. Stay behind Bridges. He'll come good. Happy Thanksgiving, KFS. Appreciate you, Chris. Really do. You're one of the good ones. And I hope you and your family had, I know, you don't, I hope you had a happy day yesterday. I'll just say that. Yeah, let's be thankful for this win collectively as a Knicks fan base. Can we do that? Are we allowed to do that? Can we be thankful for this win? Can we be happy about this win? I am. That's for sure. All right. Thanks, Chris. And thanks, everybody who's watching. We got Super Chats still pouring in. I'm going to try to go through them a little bit faster. But the fact that we get this level of support, I don't know how many people watching. Mark, let me know so I could shout it out. But the amount of support that we get in the middle of a Black Friday on, after a game like this, man, 1440 watching. Holy shit. You guys are the best. Seriously. Kevin Danishevsky, Mikal, to quote his hometown Rocky, needs a couple weeks off to go find that stuff in the basement. Tibbs did the right thing by closing with Deuce. Kevin, you're not going to get me on this one. You're not going to win here. And here's the best part. If you stay on this and I keep fighting back that Mikal Bridges needs some time off and we see him like on the shelf with some BS injury for a while, you get to talk your shit for eternity. Eternity. And I have to eat crow because apparently I haven't eaten enough crow already in one lifetime. I feel like I've eaten enough crow for 5 lifetimes. But, thanks, Kev. Appreciate you. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate your generosity, my friend. Best fourth quarter defense of the year for what it's worth. Really impressive help defense from Cat. That is something I will definitely buy. By the way, the Gotham app needs another week of detonation. The Gotham app is fucking terrible. Because I record the games using the Gotham app, so I have it on even though I'm watching the game on TV. But it's terrible. Their fourth quarter defense. Hang on here. Fourth quarter defense. Actually, it's funny. I agree with you. I thought the fourth quarter defense was very good. 118.2. It's not great. It's not what you want, but I agree with you. I thought when they made plays, the plays were big, and that's really what counts. Like that's why like quarter to quarter offensive and defensive rating, the number that you want to see from the fourth quarter is 127.3. That's the offensive rating in the fourth quarter. I'll give you the other numbers. The third quarter, I thought actually was where they really turned it around defensively, and they really the give a shit was high. 95.8 defensive rating in the third quarter. The problem was they struggled on offense, 104.3, and their defensive ratings were not the problem today. 104.5 in the first quarter, 108.3 in the second quarter, 95.8 in the third quarter. You want to know the number of the game? The number of the game was the first quarter offensive rating, 65.2. It's not what you want. Thank you, Dom. Dom with another one. Deuce, 6th man of the year conversation. Hart and OG career years. Cat and JB in the running for All-NBA honors. Mikal, please catch up soon, man. We really need you, buddy. See you at the half on Sunday, John. Let's go Knicks. I will be on halftime, and I promise I will take comments from anybody who wants on halftime on Sunday. Shout out to all my Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers who keep me afloat every day, keep me enthusiastic about what I do. Dom, I know you didn't mean it like this, but I feel it is incumbent upon me to point out, while many of us feel bad about pouring it on with Bridges, when everything you said is true. Deuce has been awesome. Hart has been awesome. OG has been awesome. JB has been awesome for a little while now. Like, really awesome for a little while now. Like, what more do you want from Jalen Brunson than he's given you over however many weeks? And Karl-Anthony Towns, again, is Karl-Anthony Towns ever going to be a perfect player? No. The defensive stuff is always there. But, like, you look at what the guy is giving you on the offensive end, and we're really going to sit here and be like, you stink? Like, you're the problem? Like, yeah, you have to, like, that is an organizational choice. They made an organizational choice to put him at the 5. And knowing what he is, and he's been exactly what as advertised. So, like, I'm not going to complain about him. And when you put it like that, and you show that all these other guys are pulling their weight. It's like, all right, man. Well, when it's one guy that you can't group in with everybody else, campaign too, right? Campaign's been good. Makes it really tough. Yeah, Towns, 54% from the field, 47% from three. This is after today. 47% from three, 85% from the line. 13 rebounds a game. 3.5 assists. Only 2.5 turnovers. You know? Mikal's 31% from under 31% from three. 45% overall. It's not what it needs to be. It's not what it needs to be. Thank you, Dom. Kyle Crawford, what's going on, Kyle? Don't want to think about this game, so I will just say I usually listen to the pod at 1.5 speed, and whenever I watch live, it really throws me for a loop. That makes me feel like I should talk faster, so I apologize that I talk slow. I thought I was a fast talker. I guess not. I can't listen to pods on faster speed. It wigs me out. Maybe if I force myself to do it for a period of time, I get used to it. And I admire those who do it because I am nothing if not an admirer of efficiency and a seeker of efficiency. And yet podcast listening is one of those things, like that's my happy place. That's my relaxation. And I feel like if I'm going to listen to them faster, it takes away that vital little pocket of my life where I could just relax because I don't have any other part of my life where I'm relaxed. The only time I ever relax is when I'm listening to a podcast. So, good job by you. I hope to achieve that level of efficiency someday. Thank you, Kyle. Louis Estudo, thank you for the very generous contribution, my friend. Glad they got the win, but this is just... Hold on, take a step back. Every comment today should start off with, glad they got the win, but... Because it's absolutely dead on balls accurate, to quote the great Melissa Tomei. But this is just not a team I could take seriously as a contender currently. They're not a contender. No one should be taking them seriously as a contender right now. Absolutely not. I expected there to be some growing pains this year, but Bridges' struggles and the lack of focus intensity are getting worse. All right. We've done the Bridges conversation, and I completely agree with you there. He either turns it around or he doesn't. That's its own thing. There's no discussion even needed at this point. I like lack of focus intensity. Again, I've said this before, and it may seem like me being an apologist, which I've been many times. The adjustment period and the chemistry, the getting used to each other, all of that things sometimes manifests itself in ways that you do not expect. And I would urge you, Louis, to go and check out the post-game interview from Anthony Edwards. And look, the Knicks need to worry about the Knicks. The last thing the Knicks should be doing is looking at some other team and being like, well, at least we're not them. But you have a conference finalist from last year. You have a conference finalist from last year that, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but had some people in the Minnesota Timberwolves orbit being like, we may have gotten better. Or at the very least, the whole conversation about, well, maybe Naz Reid could give us X, percent of what Towns gave us. And now we got DiVincenzo, and now we got Julius as another one-on-one guy, and all of this stuff. Sometimes, go look at what's going on over there. And it's just it never. When you make significant changes to your team, it is rarely as easy as you thought to get rolling in the way that you are accustomed to, and the issues rarely look like and feel like how you're going to expect them to look and feel. So I am going to choose to be encouraged by the fact that at halftime of that game, the Knicks, and I know it didn't manifest itself immediately. in the third quarter, but I felt a bit of a change for them. And when push came to shove, last half for the fourth quarter, they found it. They found it. If they weren't able to find it, we'd be having a very different conversation. But they found it. And I'm gonna choose to be very encouraged by that. And again, one other thing. On days like this, where it's bad, and today, yes, they got the win, and we could highlight the positives of the win, but today was not great. It makes it easier. It makes it easy to forget the days where it's really good. And if we were sitting here and we were talking about a team that the wins were not impressive, that would be one thing. And I'm not saying that winning impressively over team, or that's the path to the finals. It's not. They got to figure out how to win in different ways. They got to figure out how to win in ways where the offense is not clicking, at peak levels. They have to figure out a way to get everybody on the same page. They have to figure out a lot of stuff. But when we are talking about this team, big picture, 10,000-foot view, we have to at least factor in how they have looked this season when they have looked good, because when they have looked good, they have looked very good. And that has to matter. That has to matter in our assessment and our judgment of this team as we are almost through the 20-game mark. And saying all that, I agree with you. They are not a contender right now. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they can't get there. Or that they have not given us any indication that might not be in the cards, because I think they have. We're not there now, but can we get there? I think we can. Thank you, Lewis. We'll do one more, Mark, and then we'll do the out-of-town scoreboard. Al Oren Bouch, what's going on, Al? They can't play down to bad teams. No, they can't. Whole family here screamed at the rebounds, defense, and turnovers. Finally, 7 p.m. game in Israel to watch with my kids. Oh, that's great, man. I'm really happy. I hope the kids were not cognizant of how crappy this Hornets team was, so they could just be enjoying a close game, because that was a legitimately fun game in the second half. There were definitely there were a ton of tear your hair out moments in the first half, but there were less in the second half, and there were a lot of good moments in the second half too. So I'm glad you got to see that game down the stretch, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, a win is a win is a win, right? Okay. Let us do our out-of-town scoreboard presented by our good friends at T-Squared Social. If you want a free draft beer, just go into T-Squared Social on 42nd Street and just down the block from Grand Central Station, between Madison and 5th. Tell them KFS sent you, and you'll get a free draft beer. You could also go on tsquaredsocial.com to learn about club memberships, trivia nights, sports leagues, and much more. The point is, go to T-Squared Social. Check it out. Best sports bar in New York. They have everything you could possibly want in a good time at the end of the day. Okay. Out-of-town scoreboard. We got only one other game going on right now, and that's Cavs-Hawks. It is in the third quarter. How about this for a surprising result? So the Hawks went into Cleveland and shocked the Cavs the other day to give them their second loss as well as their first loss at home. And so you figure Cavs going to respond in a big way today. Cavs down by 2 at halftime. Atlanta is currently out to a 13-7 lead in the second half. They have an 8-point advantage. All of the normal Cavs, I think, with the exception of Max Strus, are playing. The Cavs' big four are playing. Okoro is starting. Darius Garland having a hell of a shooting game. Donovan Mitchell, 2 of 17 or 3 of 18 now from the field. So Evan Mobley even having a really good game. But not, the NBA where crazy stuff happens. But, the Cavs are going to get the benefit of the doubt because they're 17-2. So is what it is. How many? No, only one steal for Dyson Daniels. How about that? Okay. That's been your Out of Town Scoreboard, presented by T-Squared Social. All right, home stretch. Kevin Danishevsky. The Suns lost to the Tyrese Martin-led Nets. Take all the wins. Suns with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. It's the NBA this year. It's the NBA this year. I just gave you the Cavs score, losing to the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks are a feisty team, but it's the NBA this year, man. Or maybe, we've been wondering how the cap changes and the second apron and the first apron stuff and all of this would impact parity, because I think that's what the league wanted, right? The league wanted parity. League wants player movement, and league wants parity. Well, I think you're getting it. I think you're getting it right now. And yeah, you don't take any win for granted. Certainly not. Thank you, Kevin. Justin Richards, what's going on, Justin? Credit them for winning the game. Mikal needs a day off. Campaign can't provide better defense than you. So this is a version of the Danishevsky give him 2 weeks off. If we learn that Mikal Bridges... See, here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. He's got the streak. Now, would it be the craziest thing in the world to suggest that something is wrong with him physically, and that is the explanation for what we are seeing, and the reason he continues to play is because of the streak? I don't know. But if you're telling me, like, if Tom Thibodeau goes to him and be like, I think you need to sit for it. First of all, Tom Thibodeau would never do that. But if there was some kind of agreement within the organization that Mikal Bridges needed a day off, how would he take that? I don't know. But, he's got obviously the longest games played streak in probably professional sports right now. So it's tough. It's tough. I would very much like him to figure it out. Thank you, Justin. Cat for 24. Man, Cat for 24. Thank you so much. This is very generous after a game like that. So appreciate you very much. Thank you, man. Seriously, thank you. Or madame, whoever you are. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. I know the 20-game mark is the benchmark for judging teams, but with no Precious Achiuwa or Mitchell Robinson yet, I'm willing to give them more time. If Bridges can just get it together a little bit more, I feel confident in this team come the playoffs. Hashtag Fire Thomas. I hope that's a joking hashtag Fire Thomas. I don't know, but I'm gonna pretend it's a joke, or I'm gonna think it's a joke, because you can't buy me off. You can't buy off my love. There are 2 people or 4 people in the world you can't buy off my love. Well, 5 people. My wife, my children, my mom, and Tom Thibodeau. Anybody else, you could buy me off. If you'd be like, I will. Is there a price for, any other friendship or familiar relationship I have? Absolutely. Now, some prices may be higher than others, but you could definitely buy me off. Yeah, it's those 5 people: wife, kids, mom, Tom Thibodeau. The 20-game mark, it's weird because, like, the 20-game mark, I think has always been a thing about, like, the chemistry stuff, which to me is more about offense than defense. And I think the offense kind of figured it out a while ago, although the turnovers this game, and I think, they had another recent game where the turnovers are bad. Yeah, I mean, 20-30, it's not a hard line, right? It's not a hard line it's a line in the sand, roughly. And it could get a little messy. 20-30, it's like we can't be sitting here and talking about some of the stuff we've been talking about after 40, 50 games. The difficult part is the Bridges stuff has taken on a life of its own. And the Bridges thing is not a team thing. The Bridges thing is a Bridges thing. So all of a sudden, all the conversation about, oh, give it whatever, it's 20 games, 25 games, 30 games, whatever number you want to give it. If Bridges is just so off, how do you account for that in your accounting for time frame? Because like if he's just this, well then it doesn't matter how many fucking games you want to give it. It doesn't matter. You know? And I all due respect to Pressure Chua, all due respect to Mitchell Robinson, neither of those guys are going to turn Mikal Bridges into the player he used to be. Mikal Bridges needs to turn Mikal Bridges into the player that he used to be. So, you know, it's like I don't really know how to respond to that, Cat for 24, but I appreciate the thought. And again, thank you very much for the generous contribution. Debo, what's going on, Debo? How you doing, man? It was great seeing you the other night, and hope you had a happy Thanksgiving with your family. That was ugly, but important. But I like this. But we just go. It's the other way around. It's like that was good. It's like they got the win, but I like it starting off negative. That was ugly, but and then you go to the positive. We got the win. Bridges has to get right, but I am cautiously optimistic that he will return to form. We have the right coach to figure it out. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving too. And I agree with your sentiments completely. And thank you to I'm just checking the chat for a quote that Andrew sent me. And he sent me a video of this bridge falling down. Do I have to watch the video of the bridge? I don't want to watch the video of the bridge. But more importantly, this is a quote from Josh Hart on Mikal Bridges. Thank you for the great Twitter account, NBA_New York, otherwise known as New York Basketball, for the quote, for the transcription, This is Josh Hart on Mikal Bridges. I know he's not worried about it. I'm not worried about him. The media and people are killing him. New situation. What, 18 games? All the BS about what we gave up means nothing. If we win a championship, ain't nobody going to give a damn how many picks we gave up. We can give up 15 picks. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're trying to win a championship. He's going to be a key piece of that, and we need to continue to build him up. If you go out there and nitpick everything he does, that's only a detriment to him. We're all going to have a conversation with that. We got to get him going. That's when we get the best version of Cal. It's 18 games. He's a hell of a player. He's been to the finals. He knows how to win. So we can calm down with all the criticism and nitpicking a guy who's won every time he stepped on the court in any situation. A lot of people can't do what he does. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Josh Hart. Credit to Steph Bondi, who asked the question. And again, credit to New York Basketball's Twitter account for the transcription. Go give them a follow. It's the best. If you're a Knicks fan, it's the most important. It's the most important account you could follow. I'm with Josh. I'm sure this is bothering him. I'm sure this is bothering the whole team. All the more reason why got to stay strong. Thanks, Debo. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on? Dom, 18 games of practicing as much patience as I possibly could. Game 1, 19, and I finally lost my voice for the first time since the Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 7. I need a mental reset as badly as Mikal Bridges. See you Sunday, all. Listen, Dom, it's not only that it's an 82-game season, this is a multi-year process for them. I'm not, and again, I've been accused of being too forward-looking, too much like, this year doesn't really matter. No, every year matters. Every year they try to win a championship. Every year that they do not win a championship with this core, with the investments they've made, it is not a successful year. And we should all have the expectation of they can win a championship this year. But at the end of the day, they've given themselves a runway here. So I would implore everybody, if you're feeling distressed, if you're feeling like you've reached close to a breaking point, there are going to be so many more ups and downs with this version of this team. And I will once again echo what Josh Hart just said. This guy, Mikal Bridges, has been a really good player for a really long time. He's going to be okay. And they are going to figure out how to get him going okay. I know they are. They're all invested. We talked about it last year. It's the best culture in the NBA, right? I mean, I know they lost DiVincenzo. I know they lost Hartenstein. I know they lost Julius Randle. I'm not saying those pieces aren't insignificant. They are. They lost Alec Burks. But I believe in this culture. I believe in this foundation. And I believe that whatever is ailing them right now, because that locker room is a together locker room, and because they have the leaders in there that they do, I know they're going to figure it out. Thank you, Dom. Cat for 24 with another one. Cat for 24, man. Thank you so much. Seriously. Happy holidays, brother. Additional note. Is Bridges' performance karma for the Nets' Ben Simmons mockery? He looks terrified to shoot, and his defense has regressed. At least Simmons' offseason shooting videos look good. Hashtag CVS receipts. Hashtag fire Thomas. I don't know. Karma's a funny thing. The interesting thing is, I don't know that I'd say, like, he's never been he's never been less afraid to shoot than he was in Dallas, and that was just one game ago. I think if there was some level of hesitancy on his part in this game, and I can't sit here and be like, oh, I did not have the thought throughout this game today, Cat for 24, that he was scared to shoot. It's entirely possible, like, I was focused on other things and I just didn't notice it, and he may have been, but I didn't have that thought. I mean, the defense is obvious, but is it karma? I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I try not to give in to some of the mean stuff. I do like making fun of Nets fans, though. I don't think have I ever made fun of Ben Simmons. If I have, I hope it hasn't been too bad, because that guy, for as much as he is a shell of himself as a player, he's also gone through some significant, I think, mental health stuff, and you never want to joke about that or downplay that. So I don't know. I either way, Bridges will figure it out. He's gonna be okay. Thanks, Cat, for 24. Appreciate you. Bastion Dumont Q. Let's try that. Greetings from Belgium. Hey, what's going on, Bastion from Belgium? I rely on replay due to the time zone, but had to say I love your show. You're part of my routine. Keep up the amazing work. Man, to get a comment like that in the middle of a post game like this, that's the stuff that keeps me going, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of our fans around the world, and the fact that we are the go-to for some people that are in another hemisphere, or another, not hemisphere. Hemisphere is north south. I don't know. Is Belgium in the I think Belgium's in the northern hemisphere. Whatever. Another continent. It means so much to us. Yeah. Thanks, Passion. And New York Nick, for your life, Mikal Bridges makes a three, or Mikal Bridges guards a pick and roll. Woo. That's a tough question, because what defines success guarding a pick and roll? Thank you. Marcus confirming Belgium is located in the northern hemisphere. I thought so. I'd probably go guarding a pick and roll, but I'd be furiously writing my last will and testament on a cocktail napkin if I was given that choice. Thanks, New York Nick. Parrish Duggar. Oh, boy. Parrish, I'm worried. Tibbs is a 10 off-court coach, but at best a 3 as an in-game coach. Thank God Daddy Brunson helped situational coach at the end with subs, put in Sims with Cat for end game rebound situation and Cat sub for D. All right, so we got Parrish chiming in. I know he always finds good opportunities to express gripes about Tom Thibodeau. Today's gripe is he is a 3 out of 10 as an in-game coach. Okay, well, thank you, Parrish, for the contribution. I have nothing else to say about this. Russ Guberman, here we go. One great super chat deserves another. Thanks for the shout out, JM. I'm not here to pile on. Simply been trying to express that this year's roster lacks quickness compared to last year's. Can you be more specific? I'm being serious. I just don't know. Is iHeart quicker than Cat? I mean, yeah, he moves his feet better on defense. We knew this, right? But they had Bogey. Bogey's was on the roster last year. Is Bogey quick and athletic? Was Alec Burks at this point in his career quick and athletic? Dante DiVincenzo's fast, but and again, it's impossible for me to have this conversation with what Mikal Bridges is right now versus what Mikal Bridges should be when he is operating at full speed. And I'm sorry, I just do not see a huge speed, athleticism, whatever differential between DiVincenzo and Mikal Bridges, especially when you factor in Mikal Bridges' length. And everything. What else is different? Brunson's here. OG's here. Deuce is here. Josh Hart is here. I think campaign is very quick. I'm sorry. I just if they went out and they signed, my God, I'm drawing a blank. Slow-mo on the Warriors. Why can't I think of his name? This is what happens when you get old. You forget good Kyle Anderson. Jesus Christ. If they went out and signed Kyle Anderson this summer, that'd be one thing. If they were going out there and they were playing a center with Towns, I would give you something here. They're not doing that. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I don't see it. Again, and sorry, but go back and watch the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game where they were everywhere defensively. How was that speed? How was that quickness? How was that athleticism? They were all over the fucking court. So I think it's more of a problem of consistency and being as engaged as you could possibly be from the opening tip rather than lack of ability. Thank you, Russ. JM, what's going on? Jay, at least we can now count on Bridges to take the discounted extension this offseason. If they offer it, I'm kind of serious. Or maybe it's an overpay now. Yeah, I mean, no, listen, we got a long way to go before the summer. Let's talk about that later. Thank you, Jay. Parrish Duggar, Tibbs must have had sniper on him not to remove Deuce. You're not going to bait me into a rant. Okay, next comment. Robert W. Cross, first time, long time at your boy John. Start Deuce at shooting guard, move Bridges to small forward, move Hart to the 6th man. Still close. Problem fixed. I don't want to take Josh Hart out of the starting lineup. Robert, I don't think you want to take Josh Hart out of the starting lineup. You start your best players. Unless and Mikal Bridges should be one of your best players. And until you are convinced that he is either no longer one of your 5 best players or that the only way to reclimate him, that's probably not a word, is to move him to the bench. I definitely don't want to bench Josh Hart. I know that. I know that. What is that? You know what? You say move Hart to the bench as your sixth man, and then he still closes. Problem fixed. I tell you, one problem that doesn't fix is rebounding is not a problem right now. All of a sudden now you've made rebounding a problem potentially. Josh Hart. Here, let's go check it out right now. Josh Hart this season is averaging 8.5 rebounds a game. OG Anunoby this season, 5.3 rebounds a game. Mikal Bridges, 3.7 rebounds per game. Deuce McBride, 2.7 rebounds per game. Now, is it fair to assume that like OG's and Mikal's and Deuce's rebounds will go up a little bit if the three of them start and Josh Hart doesn't start? Sure. I don't want to take that out. Aside from all of the other things that Josh Hart does. I don't want to do it. Thank you, Robert. Justin Richards, Mikal will be fine in the long run. Amen. Effing men. I realize that probably not the best place to insert a curse word, but it's okay. Thank you, Justin. Robert W. Cross, first time, long time. It's your boy John. Primary issue with the starting five is point of attack defense. We want Cat at the 5. Need Deuce on the perimeter. Just how I see it. To be 1,000% clear, Robert, no one is disagreeing with you, certainly me, that the point of attack defense would improve if you put in Deuce and you took out Mikal Bridges. My point is that right now, I have not yet seen enough to make a change because of the potential unwanted ramifications of that change and the fact that you still have to play this player a lot of minutes and the potential benefits that would come with that versus the potential downside risks. I might we get there at some point and I'll change my tune? I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I wasn't willing to give you that a few days ago. I'll give you that. I'm not there yet, Robert. I'm not there. I can't not yet. Not there yet. Thank you. As always. Parrish Duggar. Got to sell off Bridges quickly. He's young, old now. Yes, let's go and see what we could get for the guy that is playing the worst basketball of his career. 19 games after you traded for him. Thank you for the contribution, Paris. Bill Peterfriend. What's going on, Bill? How you doing, man? They are not there yet. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. Agree, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Bill. G2. What's going on, G2? Bridges' defense hasn't changed. He's always played with a solid defensive center. Mitch will help Mikal look better. I would... that sounds like an invitation to do a deep dive into some of his defense in Phoenix. Probably not even Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, we know it fell off a little bit, but the thought that it was that it fell off because he was being asked to do more offensively. I think it's worth looking back at the Phoenix days, in particular the year that he got second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. I do not feel comfortable saying that his defense has not changed, because I think there's a little bit more to it than the fact that Mitchell Robinson is not here. Thanks, G2. Knicks Enjoyer. Let's go, Knicks. Thank you, man. Appreciate that again. Appreciate all the generosity from everybody in here. Appreciate all the people still watching. Closing in on the 2-hour mark. I think we are about ready to finish up, though. A couple more in the slot. Thanks, Knicks Enjoyer. A Maine listen Maine. Did I get that right? I hope I got that right. If there's a reference there that I missed, I apologize. The team soft, Maine. You got a blind spot, Maine. Oh, am I supposed to say like Maine? I don't know. Not enforcers like it's back in the day, Maine. Dark energy type of guys that reverberates, Maine. You need that nastiness to win, Maine. Precious got some of that, Maine. That's a lot of Maine. A lot of Maines. Mayne. I wonder if there was some thought given to spelling it the same as the state, Maine, or even just like main idea in a paragraph, MAIN, or a lion's mane, MANE. Never spent this much time thinking about all the different spellings of Maine. And that is the main, see what I did there? Takeaway from the Super Chat. Next up, Drew P. Mitch looks in great shape in the Strickland tweet. All right, now I'll go look. Hang on. Because I've been very vocal about how I've not been impressed with how he has looked in some of the photos. But let me look now. Strick. Why is it not coming up? Here we go. Strickland. There we go. The Strickland. Okay. I'm looking. Hopefully it's not too deep in the old. All right. Still not seeing it. I'm scrolling. Oh, there it is. Oh. You know what? I gotta say, he looks pretty good. Damn. He also looks like he's shaped. Yeah, Mitch looks pretty good there. Okay. Well, I stand corrected, unless he was sucking in his gut or something. Drew P, that's a great job by you. Mitch looks okay. Let's hope his conditioning is as good as it looks to be. Mark Sable, what's going on? Mark, I hope you are well out on the coast. Doubly frustrated with Mikal because he's on my fantasy team as well. Oof. Might have to drop him pretty soon. But I still believe in Tibbs and this team and thankful for everything you and the KFS team do. Happy holidays, everyone. Well, I'm thankful for you, Mark, and I'm thankful for everybody who considers us an extended member of their Knicks family. Means a lot. Thank you. Luis Estudo, thank you again for another generous super chat. The whole premise of the Bridges trade was that it would be you wrote the word accretive, which I'm just going to say, if accretive is a word, I don't know it. So this is me. Accretive. I've never heard this word before in my life. Here's the definition of accretive, folks, for anybody else who may be as dumb as me. Characterized by gradual growth or increase. Despite the accretive sediment measured, there is a clear shoreline erosion. Well, I learned something new today. Shows you what kind of English teacher I am. I mean, I haven't taught English in a while, but still. So let's go back to the actual comment. The whole premise of the Bridges trade was that it would be accretive enough for this specific roster to justify the overpay. Unless he figures it out, we are just rearranging deck chairs. It's harsh, but that's the truth. One, great use of a word that I didn't know existed. And number two, I think you're completely right. If this is what he is, the Knicks are just not. I mean, unless they somehow figure out a way to make it so that like they get another significant asset, because like that role, the role of the second elite wing defender, they're going to get another elite wing defender who also takes nothing to very, 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 very little off the table offensively. You know, how the hell are they going to do that? You know, they don't have the assets for that. That costs a lot. So I agree. If this is what Bridges is, the experiment goes up in smoke. But I just don't think this is what he is. Thanks, Lewis. Appreciate you, man. Ryan Nelson, what's going on, Ryan? Hypothetical, if you had to swap Brunson with Morant or LaMelo, which one would it be? Morant, easily, without question. I don't know that I'm a disbeliever in LaMelo, but I'm certainly not a believer yet. Thanks, Ryan. I think the more interesting question is how many like GMs around the league would take Brunson or Morant. My guess is, because of the off-court stuff, it would be Brunson for most of them, if not all of them. But I bet you there'd be some Morant supporters there. David Crockett, Didn't catch the game, but aren't the Knicks one game off last year at this time? The issues for Mikal Bridges are real, but what am I missing? You're missing that it was a really rough performance by Bridges, and it was a really rough performance by the Knicks as far as taking care of the ball. Number one, they had 14 turnovers, 13 or 14 turnovers in the first half, and just at the game, it was just more. I don't know if malaise is quite the word, but there was, when their starting five was out there, you didn't feel good about it. And it didn't look like it didn't add up. And yeah, Bridges was particularly bad. You let this crappy team hang around. At the end of the day, a lot of it does come back to Bridges. So that really is, I think, why we've kind of settled on that as the focus of the post game here. As far as the Knicks being one game off from last year's pace, let's double check that. See how quickly I can pull this up. Usually it pops up here. Yeah, the Knicks last year. Why am I? Here we go. Okay. The Knicks last year. No, here we don't go. I'm on the wrong page again. Nothing good happens after the 2-hour mark of a live stream. Okay. The Knicks last year were 12-7 after 19 games, and they were 12-8 when they gave up 146 points to the Milwaukee Bucks on December 5th. So if they win their next game against a depleted Hornets squad at home, they will have the same record after 20 games as they did last year. So there's that. Thanks, David. Appreciate you as always. Jessica Elsner, correction. My sister Jensen made the fire mac and cheese. Well, congratulations to her. They look good. I wish I had some. It's one thing we didn't have yesterday. We didn't have mac and cheese. And then another one from Jessica. Trading Devo for Bridges, yes or no? Discuss why or why not. Would I swap Mikal Bridges for Dante DiVincenzo right now? No. No, I'm not going to do it because I think the reasons that they traded for Bridges, the elite point of attack defense, I'm just not willing to sit here and be like, that's gone. It's gone forever. If I thought it was gone forever, then that's an easy decision. But I think whatever's going on with him is an above the neck thing. Above the head. Above the head means that someone in heaven has smited him, smate him, something not good. Above the neck, and I'm just a big believer that guys eventually figure it out when they're going through stuff, if it's not injury related, So I wouldn't do it. I'm not saying I wouldn't think about it a lot, but no, not yet. Not yet, but might get there. Might get there, depending on how much longer this lasts. New York Knicks, jokes aside, a perfect season was never likely. This was never going to, when are we've talked about it. When are these seasons where you go through all these changes? When are they ever not without a lot of stress? They always are. Okay. Thank you, New York Knicks. Kevin Danishevsky, 11-8, 3-2 road trip, 4th seed, top 10 net, zoom out. Yep. Yeah, it's just tough to zoom out when one major component is so off right now. That's the tough part. It's tough to zoom out. It's zooming out while also kind of like putting your head in the sand a little bit, because we are at the point where people are seriously asking, like, is this ever going to get better? And if I'm without a reasonable explanation for why Mikal Bridges has been the way he has been, it's very tough to just blindly say it's going to be fine. As I say, it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. You think it's going to be fine, Kevin, but it's just tough. It's become tough. That's all. Thank you, Kev. Robert W. Cross with another one. First time, long time. For the record, I myself would start Deuce over Bridges and make him the sixth man. I was trying to make it politically palatable. No, I just no. Stability. Stay stable until your stability has you sinking into the ocean. We're not there yet. Beloved of Faith. What's going on, Beloved of Faith? Bacombe is that wing to supplant Mikal. I'm still drunk from yesterday, so don't mind me. That's a perfect comment to end. That's freaking great. Thank you, Beloved of Faith. Hashtag I hate Trae Young's hair. Man, I ran out of my Juan Please. Shout out to Juan Please. So I need another beverage, although I'm pretty sure I know the bottle of wine that I polished off almost all of yesterday is now empty. So I'm going to need to find something else to drink because I'm going to relax the rest of tonight. I'm going to write a newsletter, but I will also relax. And I think this is it, unless we have another one. Mark, is that it? I think that's it. That's it. Okay. Well, Mark, I'm going to extend the invitation that I always do, which is if you want to hop up here and say hi, you can. I know you're a little camera shy, but if you want to. Hey, you're saying hi. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Sorry, KFS fans, to do this to you. I don't like to show my mug when I'm behind the scene.
You got a great manicured goatee there.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. It's November, so, giving it a shot.
I love it. A couple questions, and then we're going to get out of here because I all I hear is screaming and crying children downstairs. So while I was,
are you talking about yours or my own? Because
mine. I don't hear yours at all. I don't hear yours at all. So the game started at 12 today. My wife, her sister, my brother-in-law CJ, and their two kids and my two kids left at about like 12:45, I think, to go see Moana 2. And they got
We
home.
did that this morning, actually, right before this.
You're kidding me.
Game.
Amazing.
We took it 10 a.m. Amazing.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
You liked it?
I loved the first one.
I
enjoyed it.
I'm a big fan of the first one. I have heard that this one was not as good, but you liked it.
I did. Yeah. I mean, I agree that it wasn't as good as the first one. But I definitely enjoyed it. I think the music is what really drove the first one.
That's exactly
the first time you see a Disney movie, for you to really I think the music takes a couple watches to really set in, but I don't think it was that bad compared to the first one. But I enjoyed it.
It'll come to Disney.
The kids enjoyed it, more importantly. Well, the kids enjoyed it.
That's all that matters. Look, it'll come to Disney Plus. I'm sure I'll wind up seeing it 8,000 times. Exactly. So my point is that I have to get downstairs pretty soon, but two quick ones. Mikal Bridges, we're all worried, but are you where is your DEFCON level, or are you not at DEFCON?
I think you went over this the last time I was doing a post game. DEFCON 5 is the least worried, correct?
Yes, I believe
the least reticent for war.
Yeah, definitely.
I would probably put it at DEFCON 3.5 if that's a thing.
That's fine. No, that's I might be am I a full 3? I think that's where I'm at too. I think that's where I'm at too, because again, what I said before, the lack of explanation, the lack of rational, why? What?
I am a big fan of what Josh Hart said though after the game. I love that as a leader. I think that's exactly what needed to be said, and I hope that resonates with Mikal.
Yeah. So do I. Amen. And then the second thing, are you someone that is I'll give you 3 choices. You have to pick one. Are you this is the group more or less, whatever they do as far as trades, as far as guys coming back from injury, this is the group, they need to figure it out. Second option is I want to see what they do on the trade market. I think there's a trade to be made that's going to have a significant impact on this team. or are you number 3, where it's like we have the roster right now, we just got to get our injured guys back? Pick one of those 3.
Okay, so I think I'm not number 3. I'd like to get them back. I do.
We all want to get them back.
I just don't. I don't think that that's going to solve whatever issues we're going through right now completely. I think it's going to help.
I agree.
So I don't think I'm number 3. I think it's going to help, though. I don't want to get any Knicks fans mad at me.
No, I agree.
I'm probably going to get them mad at me anyway. But I don't. I also don't. I don't have a specific. I'm not the type, though, to. I'm not like a Kevin Danishevsky who's constantly
throwing the man
for the net.
Throwing the man right under the bus.
No, I'm saying in a good way for him. I mean,
that's great.
I'm jealous that he has the capability to research
all the trades,
of the potential trades that the Knicks can do. I don't have that ability, is what I'm saying.
So it sounds like
I think it's the first. Yeah. Number 1. I think they just got to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I do think it's going to be difficult, though. For me, I'm a little more. I think I can tell. I'm a little bit more concerned than you are at currently. And today really didn't. I mean, look, a W is W, but today didn't help.
Today, if you had concerns before the game started, your concerns did not go away after 2.5 hours. No, that's very true. All right, Mark, thank you, my friend. This was great. Thank you. Yeah, this is a crazy day for everybody, and you toughed it out with me. I appreciate it. And
thanks to all the fans.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks to everybody who watched. We appreciate you as always. We will of course be back with another post game after the Pelicans game. I'm pretty sure Andrew has another pregame coming. And then me and Jeremy will be back for the usual show coming out we'll record on Monday at night because they're playing on Sunday. So lots of good stuff coming your way. As always, appreciate everybody for watching, for contributing, everything you guys do. Don't forget, help us out if you want to give us a 5-star rating or a review if you're listening on your podcast app, or if you just want to subscribe to the channel and like this video so more people could see us and discover us. That all helps. Thanks so much. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and peace out.